So we're inside of a screen lanai. The screen lanais cover pools, and you can see the pool here. Beautiful deck, looks really nice. The problem is that they didn't create any drainage. So we've got this area over here that's got the gravel and the fire pit, and you can see the footer that holds up the structure of the lanai that runs all the way around. When it rains hard, this water has no place to go, and of course it floods up and floods over the footer. Also, sometimes during the big rains, it's flooding into the pool, so they need some type of a drainage system in here. Pretty simple. Basically what we're going to do is put in some catch basins. We just really need one to let this drain, but we'll also run some French drain underneath the gravel. We'll use the gravel as the top coat to just cover all that back up, so it acts as a channel drain, drops into the system, goes through the catch basin, and goes on out over the hill to the natural area. That's one. The second problem, and even more severe problem, is you can see the channel drain down here, and it actually ended into the concrete, and that's been removed, but we still need to drain this channel drain. The channel drain is protecting the home, and you can see it runs all the way across the back of the house, and if you look carefully you can see the grade of the pavers from the pool run back to the channel drain. It's a very important drain. It works great, water gets to this point, but of course now it can't escape because of the footer. So just kind of a poor planning of whoever installed the footer. They should have brought these drains out, would have solved the problem. But there's also a downspout back here. You see that? There's one on the other side as well. We need to put that downspout drain into the same pipe and send it, be solid pipe, send it down through the yard. It'll go out to the back, and we'll tee in these drains that we're putting for the French drain back here. We'll tee those into that line and send it over that hill, and it should drain just fine. So if you're going to do this yourself, which is an easy project to do, a couple things that you need to be aware of. One is we're going to be tunneling this footer. This footer is about 8 inches wide by 8 inches deep. And Clay's already started over here on this side. If you look carefully, you can see he started a trench over here. But what we need to make sure is, can we tunnel underneath of that footer right here? So always check these things first before you start to do your trench, because otherwise you're going to have to move your trench. So we want to make sure we can get under this footer. Start by just digging a hole on both sides. You can see we're between 2 palm trees right here. A lot of tree roots right here, but not that bad. We should be able to get down and be able to tunnel under. You can also see those tree roots, even on this side. Those are palm roots, and palms put out a tremendous amount of roots, but they're usually only finger size. Palm lives off of a big ball that holds all the water down below, so we don't want to go right beside the ball. But once that's done, you can go ahead and start your trench. Okay, so here's the example of the footer. Remember, the problem here is that water has no place to go. You can see all the way around the pool. There's a great, beautiful footer that they poured, real nice finish, quite wide, 12 by 8. They finished the top, and then they just poured the bottom. But we're going to give that a place to go. So now the water's going to come through our system, the catch basins and the French drain, and tie into the perforated pipe down there. I just stuck a piece in there so you can see it. Tie into that. It'll go over the hill and discharge, and that's going to move this water. Not a lot of French drain needed, but we can always add more if it does require that. But this should be more than enough to drain this water from this area all along and get that out of this pool. So I've said this many times, when you're digging a trench, always dig backwards. Cut your sod off, set it on one side, put your soil onto the other side. And we put some tarps out here. It makes it a little cleaner, but you don't have to use them. You can rake it back, it's all going to be fine. Take your shovel and just take out as much as you think you can lift up yourself. I usually get a nice shovel full, just lay it right on there. Then we're going to come back, do 10 feet or so, and we'll scrape it clean. We may need to go a little deeper, because remember, we went underneath that footer. So our trench is a little deeper than normal, but not much. Use your body weight, push that shovel, and just clean out your trench. And I'll show you the cleaned out trench here in just a second. But again, a great job for the do-it-yourselfer. Gives you a little workout. It's the way we always look at it. Especially when you clean up and you're using the rake. It's a great ab workout. We can make fitness videos Not really, but we could. But it doesn't take long. You can see how quick I'm moving. Just clean it right out. And let me show you the trench. So I've done about 20 feet. Let's take a look. So here's a cleaned out trench, and you can see where I stopped, and then we stepped down. We're down about 14 inches or so. Try to maintain that depth so it runs downhill. We're going to bring a line in here so you see a T coming in. That's coming from a downspout and the channel drain at the front of the lanai. But we already stuck a piece of pipe under there. I showed you that. You see it under there? That was just a test to make sure we got through it. And you can see irrigation. Luckily it's deeper than what we want to be. We can go right across the top of it and continue on. You know, you could use a trencher here as well. A trencher makes really quick work of things. If you don't have an irrigation, there's no worries at all. Make sure you do get utilities located. We did that. They're all out front, nothing back here. But there is, irrigation. So we decided to dig by hand. So again, a great job for the do-it-yourselfer. This is a great job for you guys. It's easy to do, doesn't take a lot of materials, takes a little bit of labor and a little bit of knowledge. But I think you could figure that out. Water is getting trapped by the footer, it really can't escape. And you just need to have some drains installed. We're doing more, we're hooking up those downspouts because there's problems on the outside, and you should do the same if you have that problem. Real similar to any other problem, a yard drain is a yard drain. They're all the same. You have water standing in a low spot, and the reason water can't drain is because groundwater rises. It has nothing to do with being poured onto the top of the ground. That water would normally go down through the ground at a pretty good rate. Not real fast, but it should dissipate. If your groundwater's high, then the water has no place to go. So easy job. Hope this helps you guys. It's a great job. Save yourself $3,000 or $4,000. We've got kind of a hard pan of soil down below, but no worries, we'll use the pick or whatever we need to get through there. And you can see all that water that was trapped inside the lanai. You can see it all just came out, it's still draining out of there. It's coming out underneath the lanai and through our trench as well. We're going to hook up that downspout. It's going to come around, there'll be a T here, and from inside we're hooking up that channel drain. If you can see it right there. We'll hook that channel drain up to a catch basin. All of that comes out, tees together, and it runs just right along the side of the edge. We're almost done. Again, a great project for the do-it-yourself, or something you could easily do yourself. You might want to just do one side one weekend, or if you feel good, go ahead and do the whole thing in a day. I think this job is going to take 3 men about 4.5, 5 hours. Again, do it yourself, save quite a bit of money. So a real quick little tip if you're working in a confined space, and a confined space usually means that you cannot dig any place because you've got concrete, around you, or a wood frame, or whatever it is. Here we've got a footer that's been extremely wide poured, which is nice, but it's really way bigger than a normal footer, and a catch basin just won't fit down in there and be able to tie into our line. So what I've done is I've put a T here, and we've got our pipe that comes underneath of the footer. Whoops. Our pipe comes underneath the footer, and it ties in here, and then we put a riser on it to come up this way, and then I secured the grate to this pipe. By the way, this piece is perforated to allow water to come in. Remember, what we're doing is we're not really picking up the patio water, we're picking up this channel drain. You can see it's deep too. It's down 1.5 inches below the pavers, which forces everything to be deep. Cut this out because that was concrete right over to the side. That water could go nowhere. But now that water can come across. It can come across the surface and drop in, and it can also come through the side of the pipe, through the perforated pipe on the side, drop into the T. It could have been a 90, but I like the T because it does allow water to go down through it as well. And I put some tape around the bottom just to keep the dirt out, but water would still, be able to escape. We hooked up that downspout. You can see it over there. Comes over, put a Y on it. And we're still digging because it's quite deep as it went under that footer, and you can see that water following our trench, so we know we're deep enough as we dig. Easy to do. A little bit tougher dig. There is a hard pan here, and you can see Matt wiggling that shovel. That's the best way to get down through here. You just wiggle it and you can pull out 5-6 inches, and we're plenty deep enough. You could use a mattock. Mattock works extremely well, but since we've already got mud running through the trench, this works pretty quick. And it's only about 40 feet. Got his trench already done in the back there. He had a lot of sprinklers and irrigation to go under. No big deal. He went right under it. He's cutting under one right now, and he went under several here at the end of the line. You can see all these. A lot of sprinkler irrigation. Could be the associations. Okay, so we have our French drain. Remember, we're using Easy Flow, which is 4-inch perforated pipe surrounded by the aggregate, which is hard packing peanuts, and it's all encased in fabric. It actually works better than gravel, but we are going to put a top coat of gravel over top of all this so that it will act like a giant channel drain. We added a catch basin to help get more immediate surface water down into the system. We're underneath the footer, put a coupling there, and you can see our pipe coming out the other side. That trench is almost ready for us to hook up over there. We just have 2 more to do. Okay, so over here on this side, again, confined space. You can see the footer and the pavers. The pavers are actually set on concrete, so we'd have to cut a lot of things out of here to fit. So what I've done, same thing, is I'm using the T as a catch basin. Remember, catch basins have a little bottom on them right here to catch debris so that you can reach down in there and clean it out. So what I did was I took some PVC tape and taped the bottom to create the catch basin, and the exit is this part of the T, and then we'll put a riser on it with perforated pipe and put our grate right here on the top and cut that to level. You can see what that looks like as it went under the footer. Normally, I mean, this works fine. I'm not worried about it. Normally we would use a catch basin, but because of the confined space, it just doesn't quite fit. This will work just fine and collect that water from the channel drain. You can see the water sitting right here. It's going to flow across into the top of the grate, but it will put perforated pipe here surrounded by gravel that will also help pick up a lot of this subsurface water as well. So you can see how that sets up. You notice the T down below and the PVC tape at the bottom, and we brought it right up to grade of the ground grade of the footer overpour, and then gravel will go all around that. Remember, there's perforated pipe from the T to the grate that just helps pick up the groundwater. So this is ready to cover. So the secret here is when you're backfilling, and remember, we're trying to catch the water that gets trapped inside this footer, and so it's like a giant swimming pool, even though the pool is beside that. We want to bring the gravel back to grade. Even though we have a French drain down below, we want this system for water to drop down through the top, which will drop through the voids of the gravel. It's going to go all the way down to the bottom of the trench, and then it floods up into our French drain, which is then carried away, sending it all the way back to the natural area. So here on the other side of the lanai, we're doing the same thing. We didn't need to run a lot. We can always add more to the system and connect the 2 systems together. But you know, my advice is to do, not saying doing minimal work, but do enough that you know it's going to drain. If you still have a problem, we can always add more, or you could always add more to your system. I believe this is more than enough to move the water that gets trapped inside the foundation. And again, we've got our Easy Flow, which is the French drain, and then we're going to backfill over top of that with gravel. The way that system works, water drops down into the system, hits the bottom of the trench, floods back up into the system, and is carried away. Had to go under the footer quite deep, goes out, and it discharges down into the natural area. Okay, so we backfilled this with gravel. Now I'm going to simulate this rainfall for you people that love to see our systems work. You know, we know our systems work, and we usually don't test them just because we've given that water a place to go. We know the water will go there. But to help illustrate it, what happens is it's going to rain. You can see the water. It goes right through that gravel. You don't see any of it backing up at all. What it's doing is it's going down to the bottom of the trench, and then it's filling up, and it's coming up into the perforated pipe, and it's going to be carried away through the system. It takes it a while to fill up because there's a lot of area down there to fill up all this water, but it will start to drain and it'll work really good. So you can see the water coming out here at the discharge comes out really good. And again, the way that system's working is water floods down through the voids of the gravel, down to the bottom of the pipe, and it comes up, and you can see it comes into our system and it's being carried away. But real simple, a good project for the do-it-yourselfer. Take you about a day. You'll save yourself about $3,000 or $4,000. So the same thing over here. You can see I'm simulating the rainfall, and some of it's going into the catch basin, most of it's actually splashing out into the gravel. Remember that the little riser that comes up from the T, the catch basin, is perforated, so that water is going through the gravel, it floods up the trench, and then it enters through the pipe, through those holes, and it gets into our system. And this should already be coming out. Let's go take... Oh yeah, you can see it's really flowing out quite nicely because we've already, filled up the system, and it's coming out of there really nice. Here's our pipe right here. We just bring it to open discharge. We're actually off of his property into the natural area, but it's fine. It's just letting it drain out, and it's just going to run. Well, I can see it over there. It's flooding all the way through here, working really good. So a great system. So this was the fourth and final drain that we put in, and you can see we've got a catch basin there. Remember, this catch basin is actually collecting the water from the channel drain, and you can see where they had to cut the concrete because they put concrete right up against the channel drain. No way for that water to escape, is impossible. And what it was doing was flooding back across their pavers and almost entering the house. You can see there's a 3-inch rise there to the floor, but during a big storm, especially during a hurricane, that water is right up to the floor, and of course covering the pool as well, eventually draining down the hill. So just a problem from construction, but we've solved that. What we've done is we've put in a catch basin, and we have a riser coming up from the bottom of the basin. Remember, I used a T, and so we've got a small basin at the bottom to collect debris. We use perforated pipe on the riser surrounded by gravel. There's no fabric around it. It is not needed. Water is going to permeate through the gravel and go into the system and be carried away. The real secret here is, if you notice, there's a downspout drain right here. See the downspout? And we've hooked that up, so we have to make sure it tees into this line. We have to make sure that we've got a good discharge, otherwise that downspout drain is going to come back and back up through the system. We don't want that to happen. So in this particular instance, yeah, we need good fall. You hear a lot of things, a 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch every 10 feet. You use what you have. Normally, we just follow the grade of a yard. You can see this grade's got tremendous grade, so we make sure we're running downhill, and we use the top of the ground as our guide. We don't put a level on it. There is no need to do so. You can if you want, but there's really not any need. Even if your line does run level, it will still work as long as you're deeper where you discharge than where you started. Your system's going to function, and it will function the same no matter what. So now we're making our connection to the downspout and the front drain, the channel drain, because that was an important line, and we've got it deep enough, we've got good fall. We want to make sure that when it rains hard, that the downspout drain does not back up into the catch basin that we put inside there in that confined area. So you can pull the pipe if you need to, but we just need to hear it snap together. There it goes, and we're ready to go. And make sure we push that all the way down. And then when we throw dirt on it, of course, it's going to hold it all tight together. That looks real good. So this side's all done, and we're just kind of cleaning up. We backfilled that French drain with the gravel. Remember that system, I repeat it again. Water drops down through the voids of the gravel to the bottom of the trench. And then it floods back up through the aggregate of the French drain, which we used the styrofoam peanuts as our aggregate. It works really good. Floods up through that into the pipe, out, and is carried away. You can see it runs downhill to the natural area. Catch basins grab immediate surface water runoff. So as water runs across your yard, it drops into the basin and is carried away. The French drain, it's picking up subsurface water, and it goes into the same system. But they're not clean outs. That's not why we put catch basins on lines. 30 plus years doing this and never been back on a job. They all work, and they work great. The biggest key to all of this is the discharge. You have to have a good discharge. Water must be able to drain. You can collect the water, and that's what we're doing here. French drains collect water. Catch basins collect water. Downspout drains collect water. All of that is so straightforward. The biggest thing is your discharge, making sure that you have a good flow going away from the area and water gets out of your system. So here's our completed install. You can see the catch basin inside, the downspouts hooked up, sod put back on. This excess soil when it rains is just going to disappear, no worries at all. Remember that we did go underneath the footer right here, 4 places, and back there's a catch basin. That water, I showed you how that works. Water just pours right down through there, and it all comes out here at the end of the line, and we'll run out into the natural area. Same thing on this side. Let's just walk over there and take a look. I like hibiscus. It's also the state flower here. Perforated pipe and gravel runs along here. You can see the catch basin. Remember, he's going to put a top coat of gravel here, but when it rains, any little bit of dirt is going to disappear completely. Comes out, we've got our tee from the downspout and the front drain going to the natural area out back. Sod put on. Don't worry about your sod. If it's a little bit high, it's going to settle, and no worries. Put his stones back here, the pavers, so he can get in and out. His mosquito repellent back here on that pad. We've got the catch basin down inside there, and all this hooks up, all been tested, and it works really good. So a great project for the do-it-yourselfer. So this was a really great project. Do-it-yourselfer could have done this. Might have taken you 2 days. It took us about 4.5, 5 hours to put all this together, but there's 3 men working here, so it goes quite quick. Again, great project. Save yourself some money. If you have any questions, you know we do have live help available, video consultation via Skype and or FaceTime, and I kept that price at $50 still here for the for spring basically, so save a little bit of money there too. And I promise you I can answer any question you have, help you with project planning, materials, and if you have an idea of what you want to do, help you understand will your idea work and give you a proper solution. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.